Liam, a former paramedic, has survived the apocalypse for 3 months, moving from one abandoned town to another. He avoids large groups, knowing that people can be just as dangerous as the undead. But when he comes across a small group of survivors trapped in an overturned bus surrounded by zombies, his instincts take over. He risks his life to save them, killing several zombies in the process. Among the survivors is Jake, a charismatic but suspicious man, a tough woman named Sarah, and a frightened teenager, Emily. They convince Liam to travel with them, claiming they have a safe house stocked with supplies. Liam hesitates but ultimately agrees, believing that staying alone might not be the best long-term plan. As they walk through the ruins of the city, Liam starts noticing small details. Jake never carries a gun but always seems in charge, Sarah keeps a wary distance from him, and Emily clings to Sarah like she's the only one she trusts. When night falls, they take shelter in a convenience store. Liam volunteers to take the first watch, but as exhaustion sets in, he struggles to keep his eyes open. That's when he hears a whisper. A conversation between Jake and Sarah. Jake, he's good with a weapon. We could use him. Sarah, or we could just take what he has and leave him. Liam grips his knife tighter. He thought the undead were the biggest threat. He was wrong. Part 2, A Deadly Alliance. Liam pretends he didn't hear anything but stays on high alert. As the group continues their journey, he subtly tests Jake's leadership. He notices that Jake rarely fights but always takes the best supplies. Meanwhile, Sarah seems torn, as if she doesn't fully trust Jake either. Emily remains quiet, her eyes full of fear. Liam realizes that she knows something but is too scared to speak. Part 3, The Safe House's Secret. The group finally reaches the so-called safe house, a fortified warehouse. But something is off. Liam soon discovers that the warehouse isn't just a shelter, it's a trap. Jake has been working with a gang of raiders who lure survivors, take their supplies, and leave them to die. Liam prepares to fight back, but he's outnumbered. He needs a way out. Part 4, Betrayal and Escape. Sarah, showing signs of guilt, secretly helps Liam escape with Emily. They flee through an underground tunnel, but Jake isn't about to let them go so easily. He sends a hunting party after them. Liam now faces a new challenge, escaping the raiders while avoiding the ever-growing horde of zombies outside. Part 5, The Chase Through Hell. Liam, Sarah, and Emily fight their way through the ruins of the city, evading both zombies and Jake's men. Supplies are running low, and tensions rise. Sarah confesses that she was once part of Jake's gang but was forced into it. Emily reveals that Jake killed her parents. Liam realizes he has no choice, Jake needs to die. Part 6, Trapped in the Death Zone. The trio takes refuge in a high-rise building, but Jake's men catch up. In a tense standoff, Liam and Sarah are forced to fight. Zombies start swarming the building, attracted by the noise. With time running out, Liam formulates a desperate plan, use the zombies against the raiders. Part 7, The Final Betrayal. Just when Liam thinks they have the upper hand, Sarah betrays him. She had planned to return to Jake all along, thinking it was the safest choice. She stabs Liam and takes Emily, leaving him to die. But Liam isn't finished yet. Using sheer willpower, he fights through the pain, determined to end this once and for all. Part 8, Justice and Survival. In a brutal final confrontation, Liam tracks down Jake's gang, using a massive zombie horde as a weapon. In the chaos, Sarah realizes Jake never intended to keep her safe. She turns against him, and in the end, Liam delivers the final blow. With Jake dead and the gang destroyed, Liam and Emily escape, knowing that in this new world, trust is the most dangerous gamble of all. Part 1, The Beginning of the End, 795 words. Liam adjusted the straps of his backpack, scanning the ruined cityscape before him. Burnt-out cars line the cracked asphalt, their interiors picked clean by scavengers. A billboard ahead, once advertising some luxury product, was now defaced with graffiti, "Trust in '01." It was a lesson he had learned well. 3 months into the apocalypse, Liam had seen the worst of humanity. Gangs that ruled with violence, desperate survivors willing to betray for a can of food, and worst of all, the ones who smiled before stabbing you in the back. He had survived alone for this long, and he intended to keep it that way. But today was different. A series of frantic screams echoed from down the street. Liam moved instinctively, ducking behind an abandoned truck. He peered through the shattered window and spotted the source of the commotion, a small group of survivors trapped inside an overturned bus, surrounded by at least a dozen zombies. Liam cursed under his breath. Getting involved was a risk. A big one. But he couldn't just walk away. Drawing his machete, he moved quickly. The first zombie turned as he approached, its decayed mouth opening in a guttural moan. Liam swung, the blade slicing clean through its skull. Another one lunged. He dodged and buried the machete deep into its neck. Inside the bus, a man banged on the window. "Hey! Help us, man!" Liam fought his way to the emergency exit and yanked it open. A woman climbed out first, dragging a terrified teenager with her. The man followed last. "Thanks," the woman panted. "I'm Sarah. This is Emily." She gestured to the teenager. "And I'm Jake," the man said, offering a hand. His smile was too perfect. Too practiced. Liam didn't take the handshake. "We need to go," Liam said instead. Jake nodded. "There's a safe house nearby. Plenty of supplies. You should come with us." Liam hesitated. He didn't trust people, especially not smooth talkers like Jake. But the way Emily clung to Sarah told him something else was going on. Something deeper. "Fine," Liam said. "But if you try anything..." Jake laughed. "Relax, man. We're all in this together." Liam wasn't so sure. And as the night fell, he found himself gripping his machete a little tighter. Because in the silence, he overheard Jake whispering to Sarah. "He's good with a weapon. We could use him." A pause. "Or we could just take what he has and leave him." Liam exhaled slowly. The apocalypse had taught him many lessons. But tonight, he was about to learn the most important one. The dead weren't the only monsters in this world. Liam didn't move. He sat against the convenience store wall, his fingers tightening around the machete handle. Jake and Sarah's whispered conversation replayed in his head. We could use him, or we could just take what he has and leave him. It wasn't the first time Liam had heard people talk like this. Trust was dead in the apocalypse, just like the world around them. He forced his breathing to stay steady, pretending to be asleep. He needed more information before making his next move. Sarah sighed. "You really think he'll just let us rob him?" Jake chuckled. "It's not about letting us. We just need to wait for the right moment. When he's distracted. He's got supplies, weapons, we take what we need, and we move on." Silence. Sarah's voice dropped to a whisper. "And the girl?" A slow exhale from Jake. "She'll get over it." Liam's blood went cold. Emily. She wasn't related to them. That much was clear. So why were they keeping her? Liam had assumed Sarah was protecting her, but now he wasn't so sure. Was Emily a hostage? A bargaining chip? Liam decided then and there, he needed to get her out of this. But not yet. If he acted too soon, he'd lose the element of surprise. Morning comes with a price. By the time the sun peeked through the shattered windows, Liam had a plan. He stretched and yawned, pretending he hadn't overheard anything. Jake was already up, cleaning his knife. Sarah sat near the shelves, looking lost in thought, while Emily picked at a stale granola bar, her eyes hollow. "Let's move," Jake said, standing. "We're close to the safe house. Just a few miles west." Liam nodded. "Lead the way." As they walked through the empty streets, Liam stayed alert. Every step was a calculated risk. The city was eerily silent, except for the distant groans of zombies. Skyscrapers loomed like broken teeth, their windows shattered, their insides stripped of life. Emily stayed close to Sarah, avoiding Jake's gaze. Liam caught her glancing at him more than once, like she wanted to say something. But every time, she looked away. Jake carried no visible weapons, just a backpack slung over one shoulder. Yet, despite that, he walked with confidence, like he had nothing to fear. That meant one of two things: either he had hidden weapons, or he wasn't planning on fighting. Which meant someone else would do the fighting for him. Liam's gut told him the latter was true. They weren't alone. The setup. As they neared an intersection, Liam's eyes caught something: subtle movements in the buildings ahead. A flicker of motion behind a broken window. A shadow shifting near an overturned car. An ambush. He slowed his pace. "You sure about this safe house?" Jake grinned. "Trust me." Those words made Liam's skin crawl. Sarah's expression was unreadable, but her fingers twitched near her belt, like she was readying herself for something. Was she in on it? Or was she hesitating? Liam needed to make a move before it was too late. The second they turned the corner, he'd be walking into a trap. He couldn't let that happen. Without warning, Liam grabbed Emily's wrist. "Run!" She gasped in surprise, but before Jake or Sarah could react, Liam bolted, dragging her with him. "Hey!" Jake shouted. "Get him!" 3 figures emerged from the buildings, armed men. Raiders. Zombies weren't the only predators in the city. Liam cursed under his breath as gunfire cracked behind him. A bullet whizzed past his ear, hitting the rusted hood of a car. Emily stumbled, but Liam held her tight, pushing forward. "Keep running." The city turned into a blur of broken streets and abandoned vehicles. Liam's instincts took over, weaving between debris, cutting through alleyways. Behind him, Jake's voice rang out. "You can't run forever, Liam." Liam wasn't planning on running forever. He was planning on surviving. And when the time came, he'd make sure Jake and his men didn't. Liam sprinted down a crumbling alleyway, dragging Emily behind him. His heart pounded, but his mind was sharp. He knew how to evade pursuit. He zigzagged through debris, climbed over a rusted dumpster, and cut through the remains of an abandoned diner. Emily struggled to keep up, but fear kept her legs moving. Gunfire cracked again, ricocheting off a nearby brick wall. Jake's men weren't giving up easily. Liam slid into an old parking garage, yanking Emily down behind a burned-out car. He placed a finger to his lips, signaling for silence. She nodded, her breath shaky. Boots pounded against the pavement outside. "He went this way," a voice growled. Liam tightened his grip on his machete. He counted 3 voices. Too risky to fight head-on. He needed a distraction. He scanned the area, spotting an old fire extinguisher lying near an overturned van. An idea formed. He grabbed a loose chunk of concrete and tossed it toward the extinguisher. It hit with a loud clang. "There!" One of the raiders moved toward the noise. Liam didn't hesitate. He lunged from behind the car, slamming his machete into the nearest raider's throat. The man gurgled, eyes wide with shock, before crumpling to the ground. "Shit! He's here!" Liam grabbed Emily's hand and ran. The 2 remaining raiders fired wildly, bullets sparking against metal and concrete. Liam kept low, weaving between wrecked vehicles. Then he spotted it, a rusted maintenance door leading out of the garage. He shoved Emily through first. A bullet grazed his arm as he followed, pain searing through his skin. But he didn't stop. They stumbled into the next street, gasping for breath. We lost them?" Emily panted. "For now," Liam muttered, pressing a hand to his bleeding arm. "But we need to keep moving." The safe house that wasn't safe. With the city crawling with undead and Jake's raiders hunting them, Liam had no choice. He needed to find a temporary hiding spot. And unfortunately, the only place nearby was the so-called safe house Jake had been leading them to. "Do you know what's really in that safe house?" Liam asked Emily as they walked cautiously through the ruins. Emily shook her head. "Jake wouldn't let me leave the group. But I heard them talk sometimes. About other people who went there and never came out. Liam's jaw tightened. He had suspected as much. The warehouse loomed ahead, a massive, fortified building surrounded by barbed wire. It looked secure. Too secure. No sign of life, no movement. It was a trap. Liam led Emily to a side entrance, avoiding the main gates. The metal door was ajar. He pushed it open, slipping inside. The stench of rotting flesh hit them immediately. Emily gasped, covering her nose. Liam's grip tightened on his machete as he scanned the dimly lit space. Bloodstains covered the floor. Piles of stripped clothing and discarded shoes lay in one corner. Then he saw them. Bodies. Not fresh. Not zombies. Just people. Murdered. Their supplies stripped. The safe house was a slaughterhouse. Emily whimpered, stepping back. Liam grabbed her shoulder, keeping her still. Stay quiet. Then, movement. A soft shuffle came from the far end of the warehouse. Liam tensed, readying his weapon. A man in ragged clothes stepped into the light. His face was sunken, his eyes hollow. He looked like he hadn't eaten in weeks. You're not one of them, the man croaked. Liam hesitated. One of who? The butchers, the man whispered. Jake's people. They bring survivors here, strip them of everything, then feed them to the zombies. His voice trembled. They keep some of us alive, to lure in more. Emily gasped. Oh my God. Liam's stomach twisted. He had been right about Jake. But this was worse than he imagined. Are there others? Liam asked, voice low. The man nodded weakly. A few. Locked in the back. Liam exhaled slowly. He had two options, leave now before Jake returned or stay and free the prisoners. His eyes flicked to Emily. She was trembling, but there was something else in her expression. Hope? Liam sighed. He knew what he had to do. We're getting them out, he said. Emily nodded. But as Liam turned to move, the front door slammed open. Jake was back. Liam pushed Emily behind a stack of crates as the warehouse doors crashed open. The sound echoed through the cavernous space, sending rats scurrying into the shadows. Jake's voice cut through the still air. You think you can run, Liam? You think you can steal from me? Liam gritted his teeth. Steal? That was rich, coming from a man who slaughtered survivors for their supplies. He peeked around the crate. Jake strolled inside with 4 armed men. They spread out, moving carefully through the warehouse. The dim light cast long, shifting shadows across the blood-stained floor. Liam's pulse pounded. The prisoner he had spoken to was still crouched near the back wall, frozen with fear. If they didn't act soon, they were all dead. Jake's sick game. Jake picked up a rusted wrench from the floor, spinning it lazily in his hand. You're a smart guy, Liam. I liked you. You had potential. He sighed, shaking his head. But you had to go and make things complicated. Liam tensed as one of Jake's men moved dangerously close to their hiding spot. He pressed a hand over Emily's mouth, keeping her from gasping. Here's how this is gonna go, Jake continued. You come out, drop your weapons, and we make a deal. You and the girl? Maybe you get to live. His voice hardened. Keep hiding, and I'll let my boys have some fun before we toss your bodies outside for the rotters. Emily shuddered against Liam. He clenched his jaw. There was no deal. Jake was toying with them, drawing out the moment for his own amusement. But Liam wasn't going to play by his rules. The escape plan. Liam's eyes darted around, calculating his options. A rusted scaffold led to an upper level, an old catwalk that stretched across the warehouse. If he could get up there, he might be able to take out the lights, 'cause some chaos. He leaned down, whispering in Emily's ear. When I move, run toward the back. Find a place to hide. Her eyes widened. What about you? I'll be right behind you. Emily swallowed hard but nodded. Liam flexed his grip on the machete. Then, he acted. In one swift motion, he grabbed a nearby metal pipe and hurled it across the warehouse. It clattered loudly, hitting an old shelf. Jake's men spun toward the sound. Over there. That was all Liam needed. He bolted, dragging Emily with him. There. Stop them. Gunfire erupted. Bullets splintered the crates behind them. Liam shoved Emily toward a row of rusted lockers. Go! She hesitated for only a second before scrambling into the shadows. Liam took the other direction, sprinting toward the scaffolding. He gripped the metal bars and climbed. One of Jake's men spotted him. He's up there. Liam reached the catwalk just as the first shot tore through the railing beside him. He ducked low and ran. His target, the power box. If he could cut the lights, they'd have a fighting chance. Darkness and chaos. Jake's voice boomed below. You're just making this harder for yourself, Liam. Liam ignored him, sprinting along the catwalk. He reached the power box, lifted his machete, and slammed it down. Sparks exploded. Then, darkness. The entire warehouse plunged into pitch black. What the? One of the raiders cursed. Stay together. Jake ordered. He's up there somewhere. Liam smirked. He had just evened the playing field. But his victory was short-lived. Because in the distance, the moaning started. The horde arrives. The gunfire had drawn them. Zombies. Dozens. Maybe more. Their groans filled the night air, echoing through the shattered windows of the warehouse. Then, the first bang against the doors. Then another. Jake's men panicked. Shit, boss, we got a problem. Jake turned toward the entrance, where silhouettes of rotting bodies pressed against the glass. Liam wasted no time. He descended the catwalk, using the confusion to his advantage. He had one shot to escape. And he wasn't leaving without Emily. Final betrayal. Liam found Emily huddled near the back door. He grabbed her hand. Time to go. But before they could move, a figure stepped in front of them. Sarah. Her face was unreadable. A gun in her hand, pointed straight at Liam's chest. Emily gasped. Sarah. Liam froze, his mind racing. Sarah clenched her jaw. Give me the girl. Liam's stomach dropped. Sarah had chosen her side. And it wasn't his. Liam's grip on his machete tightened as Sarah stood in front of him, her gun steady, her expression cold. The low groans of the incoming zombie horde rattled through the warehouse, mixing with the shouts of Jake's panicked men. Give me the girl, Sarah repeated, voice firm. Emily shrank behind Liam, her breath shaky. Sarah, why? Sarah's jaw tensed. I don't have a choice. Liam scoffed. There's always a choice. Sarah's fingers twitched on the trigger. Not when Jake's in charge. The truth hit Liam like a punch to the gut. Sarah wasn't just part of Jake's group, she was scared of him. Maybe she had wanted to leave once, just like Emily. But now? She was trapped. And she was willing to betray them both just to survive. Liam's mind raced. Fighting her wasn't the problem, time was. The warehouse doors slammed open. A wave of rotting bodies poured inside. The horde strikes. The undead shuffled forward, moaning hungrily. Jake's men shouted in alarm as the first zombie latched onto one of them, teeth sinking into flesh. Blood sprayed. Panic erupted. Gunfire. Screams. Chaos. Sarah turned, eyes widening. For just a second, her aim wavered. Liam didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, knocking the gun from her hands. It clattered to the ground as Sarah stumbled back, shock flashing across her face. Liam grabbed Emily's wrist and ran. No! Sarah shouted, reaching for her weapon. Liam didn't look back. A dangerous gamble. Liam led Emily through the warehouse, dodging overturned crates and bodies. The horde was spreading fast, tearing through Jake's men like paper. They reached a side door, locked. Liam cursed under his breath. They needed another way out. Behind them, Jake's voice bellowed over the carnage. "Liam! You can't run forever." Liam spotted a staircase leading to the second-floor office. Not ideal, but it was their best option. "This way," he said, pulling Emily up the stairs. They reached the office, slamming the door behind them. A dusty window overlooked the warehouse floor, where Jake's men were losing their fight. Zombies everywhere. Then Liam saw him. Jake, still alive. He had Sarah by the collar, shoving her forward as a zombie lunged. She screamed, but Jake threw her toward the undead. Liam's stomach twisted. So much for loyalty. Sarah barely had time to scream before the horde swallowed her whole. Jake didn't even flinch. He grabbed a rifle off a dead man and turned, his eyes locking onto Liam. Then, bang! The window beside Liam shattered. Jake had spotted them. And he wasn't letting them go. The final chase. Liam grabbed Emily and kicked open the office's back door. They ran through a narrow corridor, past abandoned desks and old lockers. Another bullet whizzed past Liam's head. Jake was coming. They burst onto the rooftop. The cold night air hit them like a slap. Liam skidded to a stop at the edge. Below, an alleyway. Too high to jump safely. Emily's voice trembled. "What do we do?" The warehouse door behind them slammed open. Jake stepped out, gun raised. Game over. Liam slowly turned, shielding Emily with his body. Jake smirked, blood splattered across his face. "You put up a good fight, I'll give you that." He took a step forward. But this is where it ends. Liam's mind raced. No weapons. No escape. Then, a deep, guttural snarl. A zombie crawled out from the shadows behind Jake. Liam's eyes flickered with realization. A distraction. Jake hadn't noticed yet. He was too focused on Liam. Liam let out a slow breath. "You're right, Jake." He raised his hands. "This is where it ends." Jake grinned. "Smart man." Then, Liam dived left. The zombie pounced on Jake. Jake's scream ripped through the air as the undead sank its teeth into his neck. Blood sprayed. Liam grabbed Emily's hand. "Jump." Emily hesitated, but only for a second. They leapt off the roof, crashing into a pile of garbage below. Pain shot through Liam's body, but he forced himself up. Jake's screams still echoed above them, but Liam didn't stop to look back. He and Emily ran into the night. Because the betrayal was over. But the apocalypse? That was just beginning. Liam and Emily ran through the darkened streets, their breaths ragged, their bodies aching. The distant screams from the warehouse still echoed in their ears, but neither of them looked back. Jake was gone. Sarah was gone. The so-called safe house had been a death trap. And now? Now, they were alone in a world that wanted them dead. The city stretched ahead of them, a crumbling skeleton of what it once was. Fires burned in the distance. Cars lay abandoned in the streets, their alarms long silent. The occasional snarl of a zombie reached their ears, a reminder that safety was an illusion. Emily clutched Liam's sleeve. "Where do we go now?" Liam wiped the sweat from his brow. "Anywhere but here." He scanned the ruins, eyes landing on an old apartment building a few blocks away. Tall enough to give them a good vantage point, but not so big that it would be overrun. It was a risk. But everything was a risk now. "Come on," he said. They moved cautiously, staying low, avoiding open streets. Every shadow felt like a threat. Every alley could be hiding something far worse than the undead. And Liam couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching them. The wrong kind of company. They reached the apartment complex without incident. Liam tested the front door, locked. Good sign. He pulled a crowbar from his pack and forced it open. The hinges groaned, but nothing moved inside. "Stay close," he whispered. Emily nodded, gripping a rusted knife she had taken from the warehouse. They stepped inside, sweeping their flashlights across the lobby. Dust covered the floors. Overturned furniture lay scattered. But no blood. No bodies. That meant no zombies. For now. Liam led Emily to the stairs, avoiding the creaky elevator. They climbed carefully, pausing at every landing to listen. The higher they went, the stronger the stench of rot became. 5th floor. Liam froze. Footsteps. Not theirs. Emily heard it too. Her fingers dug into his arm. Liam turned off his flashlight, pressing himself against the wall. Another set of footsteps. Soft. Careful. But not careful enough. From the shadows, a man stepped out. Gun raised. A familiar face. Liam tensed, raising his hands slightly. "We're just passing through." The man's face was hidden behind a mask of dirt and dried blood. But his eyes, sharp, calculating, felt strangely familiar. Then he laughed. Well, look who made it out alive." Liam's stomach dropped. He knew that voice. One of Jake's men. Emily inhaled sharply. "You were at the warehouse." The man smirked, keeping his gun steady. "Damn right I was. And thanks to you, my crew is dead." He stepped closer, tilting his head. "Jake always said you were smart, Liam. But I think you're just lucky." Liam's mind raced. One man. One gun. If he made the wrong move, Emily was dead. The man's smirk faded. "Here's the deal. I should kill you both right now. But lucky for you, I need supplies. And I bet you've got some." Liam clenched his jaw. They barely had enough for themselves. The man's finger tightened on the trigger. "Drop your bag. Now." Liam didn't move. Emily's breath hitched. The man sighed. "All right then. Guess I'll just..." A snarl interrupted him. Then, a blur of movement. A zombie lunged from the shadows, sinking its teeth into the man's shoulder. His scream shattered the silence. Liam didn't hesitate. He grabbed Emily's hand and ran. Behind them, gunfire erupted, a wasted effort. Because the man was already as good as dead. A new threat. They didn't stop until they reached the top floor. Liam shoved open a door, pulling Emily inside. They collapsed against the wall, breathless. "We can't stay here," Emily panted. Liam nodded. "I know." But before they could move, another sound. Not a zombie. Not a gunshot. Voices. More than one. Emily's eyes widened. "Are those survivors?" Liam pressed himself against the door, listening. Then, clear as day, he heard it. A radio transmission. "Repeat, if anyone is alive out there, respond. We have shelter. Food. Protection. You don't have to run anymore." Emily clutched his arm. "Liam, it's real." Liam wasn't so sure. Because in a world like this, the most dangerous thing wasn't the undead. It was trusting the wrong people. Liam stared at the radio, heart pounding. A survivor broadcast? In this world? Emily's face lit up with hope. "Liam, we have to respond. What if it's real?" Liam wasn't so sure. Or what if it's a trap? The radio crackled again. "If you can hear this, we are at Blackwood Plaza. We have food, weapons, shelter. Survivors are welcome. Repeat. Blackwood Plaza." Liam knew the place. It was a fortified shopping complex on the edge of the city, one of the last places that held out before everything collapsed. If someone had actually secured it, they'd be in a strong position. But in this world, strength didn't come without a cost. Liam's instincts screamed danger. Emily, however, saw hope. "Liam," she pleaded. "We have nowhere else to go. No food, barely any ammo. If this is real, we can finally stop running." Liam hesitated. Everything about this felt wrong. The last time they trusted someone, they ended up betrayed and hunted. But Emily wasn't wrong either. They were running out of options. Finally, he sighed. "We'll check it out. But we stay cautious. If anything feels off, we leave." Emily nodded eagerly. "Okay." Liam didn't like this. But he had one rule now: trust no one. The road to Blackwood. The city felt emptier than before. Liam and Emily moved quickly, sticking to alleyways and abandoned buildings. They barely spoke, their senses sharpened by paranoia. The closer they got to Blackwood Plaza, the quieter things became. That wasn't a good sign. By the time they reached the outskirts, the sun had begun to set, casting long shadows over the ruined streets. Then they saw it. Blackwood Plaza. It was surrounded by fences, makeshift barricades of scrap metal and abandoned cars. From the outside, it looked secure. The front entrance was heavily guarded by armed men. And most importantly, no zombies in sight. Emily's grip on Liam's arm tightened. "It looks safe." Liam wasn't convinced. Then, a voice called out. "You too. Hands where we can see them." Liam slowly raised his hands. Emily did the same. A group of 5 armed survivors emerged from behind the barricade. They were well-fed, well-armed. Unlike the desperate scavengers Liam had seen before, these people looked organized. The leader, a broad-shouldered man with a scar down his cheek, eyed them carefully. "Who sent you?" Liam stayed silent. Emily, however, spoke up. "We heard the radio broadcast." The man nodded. "Smart. We don't leave people out here to die." He gestured toward the gates. "Come with us. You'll be safe here." Liam's gut twisted. Something felt off. But Emily was already stepping forward. Liam exhaled sharply. There was no turning back now. Welcome to Blackwood. Inside, Blackwood Plaza was even more fortified than Liam expected. Dozens of survivors moved about, some carrying supplies, others standing guard. The stores had been converted into sleeping areas, food storage, and medical stations. At a glance, it looked like paradise. But Liam didn't trust paradise. The scarred man led them toward the center of the plaza, where a large fire burned in a barrel. Survivors sat around it, talking quietly. A woman stood by the flames, watching them approach. She was in her early 40s, dressed in military-style clothing. Her piercing blue eyes studied Liam like a predator sizing up its prey. She smiled. "Welcome," she said. "I'm Captain Monroe. I run this place." Emily spoke before Liam could. "Thank you for taking us in." Monroe nodded. "Of course. We help anyone who comes our way. All we ask in return is loyalty." Liam's muscles tensed. "Loyalty?" Monroe continued. "You'll have food, shelter, protection. But we don't tolerate freeloaders. Everyone pulls their weight." Liam folded his arms. "And what exactly does that mean?" Monroe's smile didn't waver. "You'll see soon enough." Liam didn't like that answer. And when he looked around, he finally saw it. The fear in the eyes of some survivors. The way they kept their heads down. The way they moved like prisoners. This wasn't just a safe haven. This was a cage. Something isn't right. Later that night, Liam and Emily were shown to a small, empty store that would serve as their room. Emily sat on a makeshift bed, exhaustion in her eyes. "Liam, we're finally safe." Liam sat beside her but didn't speak. Something about this place didn't sit right with him. Then, a scream. It was faint. Distant. But it was real. Liam stood immediately. "Did you hear that?" Emily frowned. "What?" Another scream. Then, Gunfire. Emily paled. Liam, what's happening? Liam moved to the door, pressing his ear against it. Footsteps. Movement. Something was happening outside. Then, a voice, hushed and urgent. Pissed. New guy. Liam spun around. The air vent near the ceiling had been pushed open, and a young man's face peered through. The boy couldn't have been older than 16. His eyes were wide with fear. You need to get out of here, he whispered. Emily's eyes widened. What? Why? The boy's voice trembled. Because if you stay, you'll never leave. Liam's pulse pounded in his ears. The boy's words echoed in his head, if you stay, you'll never leave. Emily's face paled. What do you mean? She whispered. The boy glanced over his shoulder, his expression tight with urgency. Blackwood isn't what it seems. Captain Monroe, she doesn't save people. She owns them. Liam clenched his fists. He had suspected something was off, but hearing it confirmed sent a chill down his spine. The boy continued. Once you're in, you don't get to leave. Ever. She sends people on supply runs that are really suicide missions. Or worse, if she thinks you're weak, you're given to the undead. Emily gasped. That's what we heard, the screaming. The boy nodded grimly. You need to run. Now. Nowhere to hide. Liam moved fast, checking their surroundings. Their room had only one entrance, the locked door. The vent was too small for him but maybe big enough for Emily. But escaping wasn't the only problem. They needed weapons. Supplies. A way to fight back if they were caught. Liam turned to the boy. How do we get out? The kid hesitated. There's an old maintenance tunnel behind the storage area. It leads outside the plaza. But it's locked, and only Monroe has the key. Liam exhaled sharply. Of course. Nothing was easy. Emily grabbed his arm. Liam, we have to try. He nodded. Then we go straight for Monroe. The boy's eyes widened. Are you crazy? You'll never get close to her. Liam's jaw tightened. Then we'll make her come to us. The revolt begins. They move fast. The boy led them through the vents, dropping them into an empty storage room filled with crates of food, weapons, and medical supplies. Liam grabbed a combat knife and a handgun with a few bullets. Emily armed herself with a small axe. Stay quiet, the boy warned. Guards patrol every hour. But Liam wasn't worried about the guards. He had a plan. They knocked over crates, spilling supplies everywhere. Fired a single gunshot into the air. Then, they waited. Within seconds, shouts rang out. Gunfire near storage. Who's in there? Liam pulled Emily behind a stack of crates just as the guards stormed in. 5 of them. He recognized one, the same man who greeted them at the gates. Liam's grip on his knife tightened. The guards scanned the room. What the hell? Then, Liam struck. He lunged, driving the knife into the first man's side. The guard gasped, falling to his knees. Before the others could react, Emily swung her axe, slashing another across the arm. The storage room erupted into chaos. Liam grabbed the fallen guard's rifle and fired. 2 more went down. The last one scrambled for his radio, but Emily tackled him, slamming his head into the floor. Silence. Emily panted, chest heaving. That was loud. Liam wiped blood from his blade. Good. Because Monroe was coming. The final confrontation. The sound of boots thundered outside. Then, Captain Monroe entered. She stood tall, flanked by 4 more armed guards. Her cold blue eyes flickered over the scene. Impressive. Liam raised his stolen rifle. Give me the key to the maintenance tunnel. Monroe smirked. And why would I do that? Liam's grip tightened. Because if you don't, I'll put a bullet between your eyes. Monroe chuckled. You think you're the first to try something like this? She stepped forward, her expression calm. But let me tell you something, Liam. She nodded to the guards, who aimed their rifles at him. You're outnumbered. Emily's hand inched toward her axe, but Liam knew they couldn't win this fight. Not head-on. Then, a gunshot rang out. But it wasn't from Monroe's men. It was from behind. The boy had grabbed a pistol from the fallen guards and shot one of Monroe's men in the back. Chaos erupted. Liam fired. Emily swung her axe. The kid ducked behind crates, reloading. Monroe cursed, grabbing her radio. All units. Liam didn't give her the chance. He lunged, slamming her into the wall. Her radio clattered to the ground. Her fist connected with his jaw, sending him staggering back. She was strong, too strong. But Liam wasn't fighting fair. He grabbed the butt of his rifle and smashed it into her face. She fell. Liam didn't hesitate. He grabbed the keys from her belt. Run, he shouted. The final escape. They sprinted toward the back of the plaza, dodging gunfire as more guards swarmed in. The boy led the way, guiding them through narrow hallways toward the maintenance door. Liam fumbled with the keys. Click. The door swung open. Cold night air rushed in. Freedom. But just as they stepped outside, Monroe appeared behind them. Blood streamed from her forehead, but her gun was steady. Liam barely had time to react. Bang. The gunshot echoed. For a moment, Liam thought he'd been hit. But then, Monroe dropped to her knees. A fresh bullet wound bled from her chest. Behind her, one of her own men lowered his rifle. The guard, one of the terrified survivors, looked at Liam and nodded. Go. Liam didn't need to be told twice. They ran. A new beginning. The city swallowed them again, but this time, it felt different. They weren't just running. They were free. As they moved into the night, Emily glanced at Liam. What now? Liam exhaled, scanning the ruined skyline. They had no food. No real shelter. But for the first time since the world ended, they had a chance. Liam turned to Emily and the boy. We survive. And with that, they disappeared into the darkness, leaving Blackwood Plaza behind forever. The end.